It's an honor to be here to join you tonight, and first, it's an honor to be here on the traditional territory of the Comox people. And before I get started, I want to thank Margaret Harris for inviting me. I want to thank the board of directors for all your hard work and all the volunteers. It's important work, and it's really inspiring to be at an AGM and see so many people, so many cycling enthusiasts, and see community leaders, from throughout the valley. As you know, I am the Member of Parliament for Courtenay, Alberni, so not the whole valley, but part of the valley. And it's a huge riding. It's a riding that's 8,500 square kilometers. It starts here in Courtenay. For those of you that don't know, goes down as far as Nanoose, includes Denman, Hornby, Lasqueti Island, Alberni Valley, Bamfield, north of Tofino to Heshquit on the west coast. So it's a very big riding. We are, yeah, so I'm going to go to that actually. You're going to like this part. Thank you for that. And it'll lead into a conversation around cycling this riding at some point here this summer. But we are the farthest riding from Ottawa, so it's very inspiring for me to find ways to lower my footprint. So as was stated, I'm a former entrepreneur, and I owned a bike rental business in Tofino for, I think it was 14 years in total. You probably, if you went into Tofino, you would have seen a big whack of bikes on the first stop sign in Tofino when you came into town. And I did that for many years. And I'm also a cyclist, so I've had a chance, and I'm really proud to say that every day I've sat in the House of Commons, I've biked to work. And it can be not an easy task, as you can imagine. Sometimes, I've had cracked ribs and been sick and had to catch planes. But when you try to figure out how to take the snow off your car and bike to work and drive your car and find a place to park and then get up to Parliament Hill with all the security, good luck getting there in short time. Whereas on a bike, I can get there very fast. And I always get asked, people are like, how do you do it? It's so cold there. And I'm like, you ride your bike in that? And I'm like, do you think I'd want to walk in that? So that's my simple answer to that. I bike everywhere I can. I've saved taxpayers' money by doing that. I've been in New York at the United Nations in the last couple of months. I've been in Washington, D.C., Seattle, Vancouver, LA, Mexico, Ottawa, and throughout our riding, all in the since the beginning of December. And I biked in all of those cities to the UN. And what I can tell you is that it saves taxpayers money in taxi fares. And I meet people. I meet real people. I support local businesses while I'm doing that. And I get to know local communities. And it gives me a huge advantage of better understanding of the places I'm visiting. And it makes me feel at home wherever I am. And I could talk all day about those stories and have a lot of fun sharing great stories with you, but we're not here to do just that. Although I will tell you a quick story that my chain was really rusty after the drive from Alberni Valley, and I couldn't find my chain lube oil, but I had some suntan lotion and I used it. So you get innovative when you travel and bike. But in October, after months of consultation with organizations like Canada Bikes and Citizens for Safe Cycling in Ottawa, other stakeholders, Leo, Boom, people that have been longtime advocates for cycling, they've been wanting a national cycling strategy. So I was proud to table my first piece of legislation, which is Bill C-312, and it's the call for a national cycling strategy. And I'll talk a little bit more now about where that's at and what that means. So we need to do more. We know that to make Canada a cycling nation. Why? Because we know our country's facing huge challenges around reducing greenhouse gases, around soaring healthcare and infrastructure costs, traffic congestion, and it's good for the economy, as we know, and tourism. And cycling is a sustainable transportation solution to these challenges. I don't need to convince this crowd. I know all the benefits of cycling. It's low cost and environmentally friendly and encourages healthy living. But we also know that a lot of people don't feel safe cycling on busy roads, especially when they have to share space with cars. So we need to find ways to find safer places for people to ride, because that does increase ridership, which everyone in this room, again, knows. But in fact, other MPs know this as well, especially around safety issues. My colleagues, Alexander Boularice, he's the MP for Rosemont-Lapite-Patrie, and Hélène Laverdière, she's the MP for Laurier-Sainte-Marie. They both brought forward legislation around safety, around truck side guards. They've seen terrible fatalities in urban centers, especially in Montreal and Ottawa and Toronto. And so they're trying to bring forward legislation to protect cyclists. But here in Canada, we know we're struggling with that conversation with cyclists and drivers. So we need to bring all users of the road together and have a real conversation about how we're going to move forward. So, drivers like to say cyclists block traffic, and cyclists like to blame that they are the traffic. And so we need to help Canadians switch up their attitudes about bikes versus cars and bring people together. So it's a perfect time, I think, right now for a culture shift. Because we're seeing many local municipalities, some of the champions are here in this room, that are working hard to adopt cycling-friendly policies. But it is being done piecemeal. They are being left on their own to do it, and provincially, provinces are being left alone to do it. So we need to combine those efforts and address it from a national level. We need federal leadership on this issue. So this is where my bill comes in, and the bill is to create a national strategy which will encourage more Canadians to use cycling as their mode of transportation, improve national safety standards like mandatory side guards on trucks, set clear targets for the expansion of cycling-friendly infrastructure. And I really want to underline that, because that's really critical, to set clear targets. And, locally, I know a lot of communities are doing that, but on a federal level, we need to do that. Increase education for cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists. I don't need to convince this crowd, you're doing that. But we need to do it from a federal lens and share best practices. Bringing all levels of government together to coordinate cycling policies. So when I say that on a federal level, infrastructure isn't talking to health, isn't talking to environment, isn't talking to finance and around cycling, or transport. And so these are all federal ministries, and they're not even communicating and having a real conversation around cycling. So it's about time. And when we talk about bringing all of those ministries together, bringing provincial leaders together, local government leaders together, nations and cycling groups, business, and all users of the road, that's what this bill would do. This bill would enact that conversation and again, create those clear targets that we need so that we can move forward. We have seen great advances here in each of our communities. We just got a great announcement from Ottawa of $17.5 million for Pacific Rim National Park for their new Traverse Trail, which we're all going to enjoy. But guess what? They didn't connect it to Tofino and Ucluelet. So Tofino's like, we don't have $3.5 million to connect to this trail, and you're going to encourage millions of people to use this trail, but we need money for sewer and water, as Mayor Baird and Mayor Ives know, and too well, and we don't have $3.5 million in a town of 2,000 people, and we're not going to. So, this is the problem when you don't have a plan. When you're not working cohesively together, these great initiatives can sometimes become a problem, right? So we need to work collectively and how we're going to do that. And support cycling, the cycling industry, and cycling tourism is obviously a huge advantage to us. I've traveled around the world and been able to participate and spend lots of money in countries as a cyclist, and I don't need to, again, convince this crowd. But other countries have figured it out, and that cycling is the way forward. So Austria, Denmark, Germany, Norway, Australia, France, Hungary, Scotland, Ireland, the Czech Republic, and Finland all have national cycling strategies. I was just in Montreal at the World Winter Cycling Congress that was hosted by Velo Quebec, and they said they couldn't get one person from the federal government to show up. Not a bureaucrat, not a politician. I'm glad I spoke at that event, because it was people from around the world, and not a dollar came from the federal government. And they sold out. They expected 200 people. They had 400. They sold out and had to close registration because it was that popular. That's how popular winter cycling is becoming globally. And I met people from around the world, and I'm so grateful for their encouragement and their support and their expertise and the knowledge they want to share with us from countries with a national cycling strategy. I love this slide. I'd love to have the girl on the bike up there because it means so much to me, and it is a huge motivator for me. I've got 3 kids. In Canada right now, 2% of Canadian children are riding their bike to school. 2%. In other countries where they've got a national cycling strategy, Germany, they have 15% of their kids riding their bikes to school. In Sweden, 20% of their children ride their bike to school. Now, Stockholm isn't a warm place. It's kind of like Toronto. There's a 2 degrees difference. So we can't say it's our climate, well, that's why it's 2%, or it's rural. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Sweden or Scandinavia. It's pretty rural. And in the Netherlands, we know where they've had a strategy since the early 1990s, it's 50%. 50%. We can become a cycling nation if we're committed to it, if we have a clear plan, and if we bring people together. A study from Denmark shows that every kilometer cycled, society enjoys a net profit of 23 cents. And whereas every kilometer driven by a car, we suffer a net loss of 16 cents. So we know that through health and all of the different costs associated with cars on the road. So that's why I've come here today, because I'm going to need your help for my bill to pass. It's coming up for second reading for debate sometime early in 2018. So it'll need cross-party support to pass into the next stage, which is where it goes to committee for legislation. I am getting great support. I've got a Liberal member that has signed on to second my bill, and Elizabeth May has said she's going to sign on to back my bill. I've got a Bloc member that's interested in a Conservative, and of course my party is so excited about the bill that it's going to be really exciting as we move forward. So I'm going to ask you to consider some things that you could do. The City of Toronto just wrote a letter of support for my bill last week, and I didn't even ask them. So that was pretty exciting when the largest city in the country has supported my bill, and I haven't even gone out and reached out to the local communities in my own riding. So it's great to see leaders here from local governments, because it doesn't hurt to have letters of support from local governments supporting Bill C-312 from the Comox Valley Regional District, and to have people writing the Prime Minister's office and the Ministers of Environment and Transportation and asking them to support this bill. We're really lucky. We've got FCM this year, which is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, gathering in Ottawa and they start their discussions on June 1st, and there'll be mayors and councillors from across Canada. And it just so happens to be that that's National Cycling Day in Canada for us, and we're hosting our big event on the Hill. And there is a new National Cycling Caucus, all-party caucus that has been created, and we're hosting this great event with Canada Bikes. And we're going to be able to talk to municipal councillors and mayors from across the country in the hopes that they'll be supporting this bill, and also do a bike ride with us and have some time together. But also, the mayors here in our riding and councillors, if they write a letter of support, they can also bring it to AVICC and UBCM, their governing regional bodies. I'm going to have a social media page, Bill C-312. You can go to my page now, but you'll see that new page come up in the next week or two, and you'll have a chance to follow us. Share your stories. Share your cycling stories. I can't wait to share the discussion and the newspaper that the woman talked about in your group that she's working hard about, and it's so nice to see someone pouring their time and energy into sharing with people in the community. I'll be hopefully joining Mayor Ives and Mayor Baird on my bike at the Empire Day parade. Join me, ride with me, ride with us. We don't want to be up there just alone. We didn't get there alone, and then of course the opportunities to support the social media presence, but also there's going to be a petition that's going to be launched by Canada Bikes in the coming weeks, and it's going to be an e-petition. And we're asking everybody in Canada to sign that e-petition. It sends a strong message to cabinet ministers and to people in government that this bill is important to them. So I'm going to be encouraging you to share that e-petition when that e-petition gets launched in the coming days. And they are working quickly on that, and I'm aware of that. But I'm also going to be looking forward to standing up in the House of Commons and talking about the petition as you sign it. So it gives me an opportunity to stand in the House and bring your message to Ottawa. So I hope that I can have your support, your group, in my bill. I'm going to ask you to go to my website and sign a petition that I've got there already. I'm going to be riding the riding. I'm glad you talked about the size of our riding. The plan is to do that hopefully in July. I'm going to start in Heshquit, and I'm going to come down and ride from Tofino to Ucluelet and go over to Banfield and ride across the riding. And I'm going to ask people to join me in the ride. And every morning and wherever I stop in every community, I'm going to have a coffee house to talk about issues that are important to all of us. And it's not just cycling. We've got a lot of issues in our riding. I understand that and I respect that. And this won't take me away from that, I can assure you, because we've got a lot of work to be done. But we will talk a little bit about cycling at every one of those stops along the way. And I hope you'll come and ride and share your ideas and thoughts with me. During that period of time, we'll be posting that as soon as we've got our itinerary laid out. We want Canada to be a healthier nation, an active nation, a nation that fights climate change, and a nation where children hop on their bikes to ride to school. I know we want Canada to be a cycling nation. I can't do this work without you as your member of Parliament. It's an honor to be here to talk to you. You're the first group in our riding that I've had a chance to talk to about my bill. So really, really great to be home and to really lead it. Earth Day, we're going to be doing a big ride in Port Alberni. I'm going to be talking to their group and working with local groups, and Leo, of course, with Leo on the island and in BC. But never let them tell you it can't be done. We can do this. I know we can. So thank you.